Picture this. A man stands in his kitchen at 2 in the morning, staring at nothing. The house is silent. His wife sleeps upstairs. And he's asking himself the question that keeps coming back night after night. When did I stop being me? Not the philosophical version. The real one. When did his hands start feeling cold? When did climbing stairs become exhausting? When did the thought of intimacy shift from excitement to anxiety? He doesn't know the exact moment, but he knows the feeling. Like watching someone steal pieces of you so slowly, you don't notice until you look down and realize half of you is missing. If you're watching this right now, there's a chance you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you do, I need you to stay with me. Because what I'm about to share isn't another empty promise. It's not a supplement pitch. It's not a pharmaceutical solution. It's a chemical reaction. One that's been hiding in plain sight for decades, ignored by millions of men who walk past it every single day, searching for complicated answers while the simple one sits quietly on a shelf, waiting. My name is Dr. Mohit Kara, and I've spent years watching men lose hope when they didn't have to. Today I'm going to show you why. Before we continue, if this message already speaks to you, you're welcome to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another lesson built for men your age. And if you're ready to take back control, just type 1 in the comments. Now let's get straight into the truth behind this solution. Here's what most men don't realize. The problem isn't age. Age is just the timeline. The real enemy is acidity. After 50, something shifts inside the human body. Cellular waste builds up faster than it's cleared. Metabolic byproducts accumulate. The pH balance that once maintained itself automatically starts tilting. Not dramatically. Not noticeably. Just enough. Just enough to suffocate the one molecule responsible for everything you're struggling with. Nitric oxide. You've probably never heard of it. Most men haven't. But nitric oxide is the reason blood vessels open. It's the signal that tells smooth muscle to relax. It's the chemical messenger that determines whether blood flows freely or struggles against resistance. Without nitric oxide, nothing works. Circulation collapses. Oxygen can't reach the tissues that need it. Energy production fails. And every system that depends on blood flow, your heart, your muscles, your brain, your intimate function, begins operating in survival mode instead of performance mode. And here's the cruelest part. It's not that your body stops producing nitric oxide. It's that the environment has become so acidic, the nitric oxide dies before it can do its job. Imagine striking a match in a windstorm. The match is fine. The fire is real. But it never gets a chance to burn. That's what's happening inside your blood vessels right now. And most men blame themselves. They think they're weak. They think they're broken. They think masculinity has an expiration date. But the truth is simpler and far more fixable. The environment just needs to change. The reaction. Let me show you something remarkable. Take 2 ordinary powders. Baking soda. Citric acid. Pour them into a glass of water. Watch what happens. Bubbles erupt. The liquid fizzes violently. Carbon dioxide escapes into the air. Most people see this and think, oh, it's just a chemical reaction. They're right. But they're missing the point. Because inside that glass, as those bubbles rise and the fizzing settles, something extraordinary is being born. Sodium citrate. A compound most men have never heard of. A compound that changes everything. When sodium citrate enters your bloodstream, it doesn't force anything. It doesn't override biology. It doesn't trick your body into temporary performance. It does something far more elegant. It restores the conditions your blood vessels have been begging for. The endothelial cells lining your arteries, the ones responsible for producing nitric oxide, suddenly find themselves in an environment where they can function again. Oxidative stress drops. The pH rises just enough. And nitric oxide, instead of dying instantly, survives long enough to send the signal. Open. Relax. Flow. That's when men feel it. The warmth spreading through their chest. The clarity returning to their mind. The sensation of blood actually moving instead of struggling. One man described it to me like this. It felt like someone turned the lights back on inside a house I thought was abandoned. That's not poetry. That's physiology. The powder everyone ignores. Let's talk about baking soda for a moment. Not as a cleaning product. Not as something you put in a cake. As a molecule. Sodium bicarbonate. When you consume baking soda, it enters your bloodstream as a pH buffer. It neutralizes excess acidity. It creates space. And in that space, nitric oxide can finally do what it was designed to do. For decades, athletes have known this. They call it bicarbonate loading. They take baking soda before intense exercise because it delays the acid buildup that causes muscle failure. It pushes back the point of collapse. It extends endurance. But here's what almost no one talks about. That same mechanism, that same pH shift, that same protective effect applies to vascular tissue, to blood vessels, to circulation, to the very systems that determine whether a man feels strong or struggles in silence. Baking soda doesn't add anything your body doesn't already know how to use. It just removes the obstacle, the suffocating acidity that's been choking nitric oxide production for years. But here's the problem. Baking soda alone is incomplete. It opens the door, yes, but walking through that door requires something more. Something that amplifies the effect. Something that transforms a small improvement into a dramatic shift. And that something is sitting right next to the baking soda in your kitchen. The amplifier. Citric acid. The sour crystals you use to preserve food. To add tang to recipes. To clean coffee makers. Unremarkable. Ordinary. Forgettable. Except for one thing. When citric acid meets baking soda and water, they don't just mix. They fuse. They create sodium citrate, a compound that does three things simultaneously, three things that matter more than most men realize. First, sodium citrate protects nitric oxide from oxidative stress. Think of oxidative stress as rust forming on metal. It destroys delicate molecules before they can function. Sodium citrate acts like a protective coating, giving nitric oxide the lifespan it needs to actually work. Second, it makes red blood cells more flexible. As we age, red blood cells become rigid. They struggle to squeeze through narrow capillaries. Oxygen delivery slows to a crawl. Sodium citrate restores elasticity, allowing red blood cells to slide through tight spaces effortlessly, carrying oxygen to tissues that have been starving. Third, it feeds directly into cellular energy production. The citric acid cycle. The Krebs cycle. The biochemical engine that generates ADP. Without ADP, smooth muscle tissue can't maintain dilation. Blood vessels open for a moment, then collapse. With ADP they stay open, strong, stable, responsive. This isn't theory. This is measurable biochemistry. And when men experience it for the first time, the response is visceral. One man told me, "I felt like I'd been walking through fog for 5 years, and suddenly the air cleared." Another said, "I didn't realize how cold I'd been until warmth came back." These aren't testimonials. These are descriptions of a body remembering what it's supposed to feel like. The window. But here's the part that separates the men who feel nothing from the men who feel everything. Timing. You cannot drink this mixture and expect instant results. Biology doesn't work that way. The moment sodium citrate enters your bloodstream, a cascade begins. But cascades take time. 15 minutes in, acidity starts dropping. The suffocating pressure on nitric oxide begins to lift. 20 minutes in, endothelial cells start waking up. Blood vessels receive the first signals. 30 minutes in, red blood cells begin to change. Flexibility increases. Oxygen transport improves. 45 minutes in, ADP production accelerates. Smooth muscle tissue regains the energy to hold dilation. And somewhere between 45 and 60 minutes, everything aligns. This is the window. The readiness window. The moment when circulation isn't just functioning. It's prepared. Men describe this phase with words like presence and confidence. Not as emotions, as physical sensations. The body isn't hoping anymore. It's ready. And it stays ready. Peak effects last between 60 and 90 minutes. Not as a spike. As a plateau. Strong. Reliable. Natural. This is why the men who dismiss this approach as not working almost always make the same mistake. They take it 5 minutes before they need it. They expect magic. They get disappointment. Because they never gave the chemistry time to complete the formula. So let's talk precision. Because guessing is why most men fail. The ratio matters. 2 parts baking soda. 1 part citric acid. Not equal parts. Not random amounts. 2 to 1. This ratio creates the optimal chemical reaction. Enough sodium citrate to deliver powerful effects. Enough remaining bicarbonate to continue buffering pH. The dose matters. 3 grams of baking soda. Half a gram to 1 gram of citric acid. This is strong enough to create measurable change without overwhelming the digestive system. The timing matters. Empty stomach. Or at least 2 hours after eating. Food interferes with absorption. Delays the cascade. Weakens the effect. 45 to 60 minutes before you need circulation at its peak. Not 5 minutes. Not 2 hours. 45 to 60. The preparation matters. 8 to 12 ounces of water. Add the powders. Let them fizz. Stir gently. Drink. That bubbling isn't just interesting. It's sodium citrate being born. And here's what almost no one talks about. This approach contains sodium. If you have kidney disease, uncontrolled high blood pressure, or a heart condition that restricts sodium, talk to your doctor first. For most healthy men, this is safe. But safety requires honesty. Know your health. Know your limits. Don't guess. The men who follow this formula exactly, who respect the ratio, the dose, the timing, are the ones who send me messages months later saying things like, "I forgot what it felt like to trust my body. I thought this part of my life was over. I didn't know I could feel this way again." These aren't miracles. These are men who gave their biology what it needed and then got out of the way. The transformation. But here's what surprises men most. The real power of this approach isn't the first hour. It's the 100th hour. Most men think of this as a one-time solution, a tool for a specific moment. They don't realize what happens when you support vascular health consistently over weeks and months. The endothelial cells don't just respond temporarily. They begin to heal. Nitric oxide production stabilizes. Blood vessels regain elasticity. Oxygen delivery improves across the entire body. Men notice changes they weren't expecting. Their hands and feet feel warm again. They wake up with energy instead of fatigue. They climb stairs without gasping. Their mind feels sharper. Their mood lifts. And yes, intimate performance improves. But so does everything else. Because circulation isn't just about one system. It's about every system. Your heart, your brain, your muscles, your skin. Everything that depends on oxygen. Everything that depends on blood flow. Everything that makes you feel alive. One man told me, "I thought I was just fixing one problem. I didn't realize how many problems were connected." That's the difference between a pharmaceutical band-aid and restoring foundational biology. Pharmaceuticals override one pathway. This restores the environment that allows all pathways to function. And when men realize that, when they understand they're not just chasing temporary performance but rebuilding long-term vitality, something shifts. They stop feeling desperate. They start feeling capable. They stop looking backward. They start looking forward. The choice. So here's where we are. You've heard the science. You've seen the mechanism. You understand the formula. Now you have a choice. You can walk away from this message and continue searching for complicated solutions. You can keep believing that aging means surrender. You can keep telling yourself that the best years are behind you. Or you can do something radically simple. You can try this, not because I'm telling you to, but because your body deserves the chance to show you what it can still do when given the right conditions. This isn't about performance anxiety. It's not about masculinity. It's not about living up to some impossible standard. It's about one simple question. Do you want to feel like yourself again? Not the 20-year-old version. The version that feels strong, present, capable, alive. The version that trusts his body instead of fearing it. The version that looks forward to intimacy instead of avoiding it. The version that wakes up and thinks, today feels good. That version isn't gone. It's just waiting for the chemistry to change. And chemistry can change. With 2 powders, a glass of water, and 45 minutes. The truth. I want to tell you something I wish more men understood. Aging doesn't take your strength. Silence does. Shame does. The belief that struggle is permanent does. I've watched men carry weight they don't have to carry. I've watched them apologize for their bodies when their bodies are begging for help, not judgment. I've watched them give up when they were one small change away from breakthrough. And it breaks my heart. Because the solution isn't hidden behind prescriptions or procedures or expensive treatments. It's hiding in plain sight. 2 powders most men already own. Sitting quietly in the kitchen. Waiting for someone to understand what they can do together. You are not broken. You are not finished. You are not too late. You are simply operating in an environment that's making it harder than it has to be. Change the environment. Watch what happens. Final words. So here's my question for you. Not as a doctor. As someone who wants you to feel what you deserve to feel. Are you willing to give this 45 minutes? 1 glass of water. 2 powders. 45 minutes of patience. To see if your body responds the way thousands of other men have described. The warmth. The clarity. The presence. The strength. The feeling of coming home to yourself. You don't have to believe me. You just have to be curious enough to try. Because the only thing standing between you and that moment is a decision. To stop searching for complicated answers. And start trusting simple ones. Your future isn't behind you. It's in front of you. Waiting for the chemistry to shift. Waiting for you to give it permission. waiting for you to remember what your body was built to do. Take the step. Mix the powders. Give it 45 minutes. And see what happens when biology gets the environment it's been asking for. You are not done. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are simply one chemical reaction away from remembering what strength feels like. So take it. The glass is waiting. And so is the version of yourself you thought was gone.